Welcome into the Face Mask Podcast. We won't be talking to you until the week, or you won't be hearing from us until the week most likely, but it is Memorial Day weekend, and on behalf of the Face Mask Podcast, happy Memorial Day weekend.
Just from Nick, not from me.
Okay, that's just a solo. Happy, okay. I'll be good cop today, and you'll be bad cop.
No, happy Memorial Day weekend, y'all.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in.
Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in. Today, we have the pleasure of talking about actually, it's not going to be that much of a pleasure.
Is it a pleasure?
It's the Raiders. They're fun. They're fun because we get to make fun of them. We get to make fun of the Raiders. We get to make fun of John Gruden, Mike Mayock.
I'll tell you what. It's fun for us, but it's at the expense of them, not in any way, shape, or form praising them.
Yeah, we're going to do a backfield breakdown today on the Los Angeles Raiders.
Vegas Raiders.
My bad,
One
y'all.
day we will both get it right without any corrections needed.
Brain fart.
Yeah,
whatever.
It happens.
But for a team that went out, that has a young, what you would think, a young stud, and just went out and tried to improve their running back room,
they wrecked
the
it.
whole fantasy community and just the NFL community in general, anybody that watches football is super down on the whatever Raiders, wherever they're from. And it's not something you see very often. You don't often see a team with a good running back who goes out and gets another pretty good running back get shitted on by everybody.
Well, the problem was last year, outside of that first game, outside of week 1, Josh Jacobs was a lot in most situations a letdown, and a lot of that people were attributing that to the Raiders, the team, more so than the player. Like, the scheme is not good. The way they utilized Jacobs was not good. Their approach game to game was not good. And it resulted in him having a letdown of a season. And then on top of that, they let multiple players on the offensive line walk, and they signed Kenyon Drake.
Yeah, it's just, I understand all the points. I don't feel very great when I think about the Raiders backfield.
No,
despite
it's
the
weird.
fact that I went out and invested them in this offseason in Dynasty.
Oops.
And I'll explain myself later.
We're
we're talking about Josh Jacobs and Kenyon Drake.
Yeah.
And what are your projections for these guys then? I mean, we've seen what Josh Jacobs can do with the solo role. Now he has a buddy back there. It should help them from an NFL perspective, but it's not obviously from a fantasy perspective. Where do you feel like they're going to fall in the ranks for you?
So, Josh Jacobs is decently talented, and at this point is a bit of a value, at least in redraft, just because he's plummeted so far. You know, we're talking about it's regular to see him fall to the 4th round. If he falls to the 4th round, that's pretty good value to take for a guy who's still likely to be the clear starting running back. Kenyon Drake, in his own right, had a down year last year. Attributed some to scheme, some to usage, whatever the case may be. Kenyon Drake wasn't good as well. Now they're both on the same team with what many are projecting to be a worse offensive line. What's in their favor is the Raiders didn't really do themselves any favors in general when it comes to the passing game. They let receivers walk. They didn't bring anybody in. So their usage, Jacobs and Drake's, should be relatively high. Whether it's efficient usage, I'm going to just go ahead and say I can't expect that. They're going to have to come through on volume. And if I have to bank on volume, which is usually what you're banking on in an offense that, say, is in the bottom half, not expected to be as good in the Raiders, then I would lean Jacobs. Could Drake, be a pseudo receiver? Sure. Nelson Aguilar walked. Henry Ruggs had a down year. Bryan Edwards is a total unknown who is, I would say, another bad year away from, for better, whether it's fair or not, being out of the league. So you're talking about a receiving core that's not super impressive. So there's opportunities for both of them there, or at least, maybe they just get funneled carries, the both of them. But when you're relying on volume, it's like, okay, fine, I'll take the starter. And as far as Drake has fallen, and his ADP has gone way down, you can get him in the 10th round easily. But do I want that? I'm not sure if I want that. That might be when I'm looking for a quarterback too, in best ball. That might be where I'm looking for depending on how the tight end chips fell, I might be looking for a tight end there. I might be looking for literally anything else other than a volume-based team RB2 who's less likely to get the volume. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, I'm talking about Drake. When it comes to Drake.
Yeah.
So, at this point in redraft, I'll say in best ball, Josh Jacobs to me is fun. In best ball, both of them are okay. Jacobs is fine. Drake is okay. So I would lean Jacobs. In a season-long league, Drake's to me he's one of those dudes where you draft him late on the upside and he's constantly up and down he's in and out of the waiver wire. Maybe he holds value as a handcuff, and RB needs are always paramount in season-long leagues, so that's going to keep Drake. He's going to maintain some appeal just based on that alone. But I don't see myself, not only am I not going out of my way to drafting Kenyon Drake, I don't see a scenario where I draft him. I see a scenario where he struggles at the beginning of the season and he's a waiver wire pickup mid-season.
Yeah, this guy, he's about to be 27. He's leaving the most explosive offense he's ever played for. An offense in which he did, to his credit, get 18 touchdowns in 2 seasons. He got 8 touchdowns in the final, 8 games with the Arizona Cardinals in 2018.
So like a season and a half, right? So like a season and a half, yeah.
In 2020, he got 10 touchdowns.
That's a lot of touchdowns.
Now, he's never hit 1,000 yards on the ground. He's never been relied on to be that type of guy. He did hit 73 targets in 2018 and 68 targets in 2019. That's where we're expecting him to get his value from.
Which is possible.
But look at the splits here. If we look at the splits and say, okay, we're only going to be seeing this guy get maybe 120, 130 touches on the ground, which is what he was getting on Miami on the ground, not counting his target production. I think we're going to see all that come way down. I think his ADP has fallen with reason. I think the upside that people are hoping for is coming from the fact that he did get 18 touchdowns in the past 22 games. Mm-hmm. That's impressive.
Pretty good production.
That's really good. Yeah. That's what you're looking for from a ancillary running back piece that you're hoping to explode. This offense that he moved to is going to be nowhere near that in terms of efficiency and explosion. He's not going to see anywhere near the red zone attempts that he was getting. The Arizona Cardinals rank near the top of the league in rushing attempts in the red zone. He's just not going to see that work. Now, on the converse, the reason why I did say I went out and I invested in Josh Jacobs in Dynasty, and I am going to speak only on him for this season in particular. He's been in the league 2 seasons. In those 2 seasons, he's been an 1,000-yard rusher, and he's put up more than 7 touchdowns twice. Mm-hmm. Now, is he going to see the 12 touchdowns that he got last season? No, because his role is going to be scaled back considerably, especially in the pass game.
Yep.
But could he see 1,000 yards on the ground and 7 touchdowns?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And with those numbers in 2019, he was the RB 14 in standard leagues. He still has a lot of value.
Steady RB2.
He's being considerably slept on. Does he have the explosion value that a lot of the other backs around him are and ahead of him carry? Absolutely not. But he can be a rock steady guy. He's not going to get the passing down work, but he's going to get all the rushing work. And if something were to happen to Kenyon Drake, then we could see the same workload that he had last season. And last season, he was the RB8 on the year. So for everybody saying, wow, Jacobs didn't exceed expectations, I think the expectations were set last year with that first game in which he got like 3 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, he had a monster
and
day.
Then he never had anything approaching that after that. And so everybody thinks of it as a letdown. But if you really look at it, RB8 is nothing to be shabby about.
All that is an RB1.
Is he going to see that ceiling? Right. Is he going to see that ceiling this season? No. But he's 23, and he's going to be the lead guy on this team. It's case in point. 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, well within his reach, and I'm buying that at his price.
Yeah.
Pretty much in every format.
In the 4th round, you're getting a guy who should be a lock for 250 carries.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He got 242 in his rookie season, and there's no way he gets...
He was over 270 last year, so...
Right. He's going to average somewhere in the middle there.
Right. I would say 250 carries is the expectation as far as Jacobs' floor when it comes to volume, when it comes to work. Is he good? He had 45 targets last year, so about 3 a game, maybe 3.5 a game. That could be cut to 1.5 to 2, assuming Kenyon Drake gets some of the receiving work, which he should. Even though Kenyon Drake is known as a pretty good receiving back, but he was underutilized in that role in Arizona. I would think he gets a little bit of rejuvenation in that role in Vegas. So does Jacob see 45 targets? I would say maybe he gets, it might be closer to 30, like I said, 2 a game. So you're not going to be getting much from him there. But like you said, he's going to be the first down running back, the running back on first and second down.
Now, I do want to touch on the fact that there are other running backs here. Jalen Richard, who does get his niche of work every season, is there. Theo Riddick, he's a pass catching back. Theo Riddick, the shell of Theo Riddick is there, and he's nothing but, even in his prime, he was nothing but a pass catching back. So all these other ancillary backs that are here, they don't cut into Josh Jacobs' workload. They cut into Kenyon Drake's workload. And if we remember, in 2019, they went out and drafted Lynn Bowden and then decided they didn't want that and traded him away. But they were looking for a pass-catching running back. They wanted that. They identified that as a need last season. It just didn't work out for some reason. They just gave up on him. But this is a team that likes to outsmart themselves. We see it time and time again in the draft. We see it, and I think we saw it in the Kenyon Drake signing. I don't think we can point to his contract as a point to say he's going to be on the field so much to where these other running backs who are on the depth chart aren't going to get any work at his expense. I think Jalen Richard and Theo Riddick are going to get some passing down work. So if we're looking at this backfield that got, let's see, Josh Jacobs last season. How many targets did he have? He had 45 targets. That's not a lot. So you're saying that you'd be okay drafting Kenyon Drake in a best ball, and I'm guessing that's factoring in the fact that he is technically the handcuff, and if Jacobs were to go down, he would get all the work, and you like those guys in best balls in later rounds. But from the point that I was making by pointing out Josh Jacobs' target totals last season is that they're not going to be passing a ton to their running backs. It's not something that they particularly scheme to do, and it's not something that Derek Carr does inherently. Inherently, he dumps it off to tight ends. He doesn't dump it off to the running backs. So yeah, so I mean, does 45 targets for a running back, if all of Josh Jacobs' targets were to go to Kenyon Drake, is that something that you like, considering that would end up being around 30 catches on a year for somebody who's considered a pass catching back? So I'm kind of thinking it's not even worth it, even in a best ball, because the upside that we're looking at here for him being, oh cool, the pass catching back is 30 passes caught. You know what I'm saying? If you agree with our thoughts on the Raiders running back room, there you go. Put your thoughts in the comment section below. If you disagree with us, go to another channel. No, I'm playing. Thank you guys for listening. This is the Face Mask Podcast. Thank you guys for listening.